Welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders prediction video. This is the only prediction video on the internet that counts, in our opinion. My name's Chris.
My name's Karl, and this week it's the magic of the Magic Weekend to the magic of the Challenge Cup. So let's get stuck into semi-final time.
Right, quick, rapid fire recap from the Magic Weekend, which was an absolute success by all accounts. Let's look at the numbers. So 65,156 people turned out, includes a record of 32,862. And all reports are that fucking half of those were Wakefield Trinity fans. They took an absolute army for that final day. And that goes against what I was saying. I thought that was a terrible fixture to finish the Magic Weekend of. What do I know? I was completely wrong. It was really well supported, an absolute spectacle on the pitch as well.
The game was okay. The final game was okay, but yeah, Wakey brought the showmanship to the Magic Weekend, didn't they? And that try, which we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Okay, let's get into it then. Saturday, we kicked off with Leigh versus Catalan Dragons.
Leopards 26, Dragons 24. What a great way to start the Magic Weekend. Ben McNamara heaping misery on his dad's side with 5 goals and 1 try.
Moving on, Hull KR keep up their winning streak against Salford.
Yeah, 54 points to 0. Not much you can say. It's just a difficult time to be a Salford fan at the minute. Hull KR just brought their consistencies to the game. Got the job done pretty easily.
It was a tough one to call when Saints took on Leeds.
Saints 4, Leeds 17. I mean, is this Paul Whelan's last game in charge? Who knows? The pressure's like going up a notch every week, doesn't it? Leeds were great.
On to that largest crowd ever on the second day, Magic Weekend, the Sunday then, and Huddersfield took on Hull FC, and nobody expected this.
What do I know when I said last week that Huddersfield weren't going to pick up a win this season? Giants 12, Hull FC 10. Huddersfield were great. They were really good. I mean, there was one turning moment, I thought, with the sending off just on the stroke of half time. Huddersfield took advantage of that in the second half.
When the Spectacular took on the Spirited, that Wigan-Wire match.
Wigan 22, Wire 20. It started off and it looked like it was going to be the usual Wigan, Jai Field to Bevan French, scored the first 2 tries. I thought, we know what we're in here for. Warrington turned it around in the second half, though, just chipped away, and got themselves within a whisker of winning that game.
And the final game of the weekend, as mentioned already, Cass versus Wakey.
Cass 8, Wakey 32. And it'll always be remembered for that 70-metre try by Caius Fayatili, and what a way to finish the Magic Weekend with the magic moment.
Yeah, I can imagine. There's not many props that'll bang out like a 70-metre try. And it's a fair effort. Karl, your summary of the Magic Weekend?
I didn't get to see all of the Saturday because I was away, but the Sunday was great. There's some great games, great crowd. Fans love it, don't they? We should never get rid of Magic Weekend, and I think Newcastle is the place to keep it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Newcastle in a minute. Let me just talk about your weekend, Karl. And I know we don't often bring what we're up to, but you went on a bit of a bender in Dublin, didn't you? And it's something you've done a couple of times, and I think viewers of this channel could be quite interested in this piss up as well. Tell us about it.
I do it in one night, so I fly out 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, get into Dublin, straight into the pubs, spend an absolute fortune on Temple Bar, and then fly back the next morning, early hours. Yeah, it's great. It's like 30 quid there and back.
And but how much for a pint?
Oh,
worse than Vegas.
Right. The first round we got cost. I mean, I had a pint of Guinness and Mrs. had a vodka or something, and it was like €18. Like, ooh, that's expensive. By the time we got to Temple Bar, right, we was like hitting nearly 30 quid for 2 fucking drinks. So just mental, mate. Absolutely. Mate, it got to a point where I didn't ask the price, just handed the bank card over, just take it.
You don't want to know. Bury your head in the sand.
Yeah, and we'll deal with that another day.
Okay, so you did that instead of the Magic Weekend.
But I have got one thing to say. There is a little bit of context to this. Newcastle, brilliant place for Magic Weekend. How good would Dublin be?
Yeah, we did have this little chat before, didn't we?
The stadium's near the town centre. There were a load of Northampton Saints rugby union fans in Ireland drinking after, because they'd just had a game there. So, yeah, how good would that be?
Yeah, I think in theory it'd be very good. But I mean, to think about all these rugby league fans, a lot of them had heart attacks. It was like £6.50 for a pint in St James's Park. In fact, I saw someone post on social media. There was like, "Oh, look, what a deal! £6.50 for a pint, or you can get 2 pints for 13 quid." And it's like, well, what kind of a saving is that? You know what I mean? It's just the fact that. But I remember when I was at St James's Park a couple of years ago, it was a stag do. And I remember getting like the 2-pint pots of Guinness just so you didn't have to go up and down the stairs again.
Yeah, it's a steep old stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, St James's Park, it seems to be, the place to have it. We looked at some of the attendances over the last couple of years. Obviously, last year it was at Ellen Road, and we kind of thought it was going to be a bit of a disaster. Just 53,000 people turned out for that. The second worst attendance ever.
In the middle of the heartlands as well. So, yeah, the Geordies get involved with Magic Weekend as well. They love it. I know there's a lot. I'm sure Roger Jones said there was around 10 to 12,000 local tickets sold for Magic Weekend. So that's great. Magic Weekend is all about taking it to new areas for me. Just stick with it. I think it's working. Interestingly as well, the NRL, I don't know if you noticed, the NRL switched their Magic Weekend this year to be the same round as Super League. Conspiracy going on there. What do you think?
What's the conspiracy?
I don't know. The NRL potentially coming in to buy Super League. I mean, what if we had a Magic Weekend where there's
combined
half the British teams went to Australia to play and half the NRL sides came over to the UK to play? How good would that be?
I don't know.
It cost an absolute fortune to do, and the fans won't be able to do it. But it's certainly an interesting concept.
No, it is, but I'm against that because Magic Weekend is for the fans. It's one place where you can go and you can take in all 6 matches. No other time can you do that, And I think if you start splitting up the teams and having, one on the other side of the world, I think it breaks up what it is. I love Magic Weekend for the fact that you can stumble out the stadium, having watched 3 games of rugby, grab yourself a curry, you know what I mean? Get absolutely leathered, fall asleep in your travel lodge, it's 20 miles away because you can't get a hotel in the city centre, and then you're back for another 3 games, and then you're back on the road home. It's, and to interfere with that, I don't think it needs to. I don't think it's a good idea.
Let's put it in Dublin though next year. Just test it out. Right, come on, let's get on to the games.
Right, okay, so let's move on. So we've just got 2 games to cover this weekend. I'll be completely transparent and honest. We were going to talk about the Women's Super League, the Women's Challenge Cup semi-final as well. However, disappointingly, there's not a great deal of coverage or information about those teams right now. Maybe it's because the Women's Super League don't kick off for another week or 2. But it's a little bit disappointing in terms of coverage for them.
Yeah, even trying to get team news and stuff like that is very difficult. I mean, what we can say, it's the top 4 teams, isn't it? The top 4 teams that we've known are the strongest all along. They've breezed through the quarterfinals and the other rounds of the Challenge Cup. It's what we expected. I think a lot of it is playing to the hands of which players have moved from Leeds to Saints and York to vice versa. I think it'll all go down to that really. But yeah, I think should be some close games there. They are the top 4 teams.
Well, they are double headers with the men's semi-final as well. So Leeds will be playing Wigan at the LNER Stadium. Saints playing York, Totally Wicked Stadium, which is a replay of the final last year that we were at. It was a great event. Anyway, not enough depth for us to really put like a prediction video together. So best of luck to the women and girls playing in those games, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for it, but we won't be covering it in this anymore. Moving on to the men's games then. On Saturday the 10th, Hull KR play Catalan. Now, currently, Hull KR are sitting pretty at the top of the table with 18 points, sitting first, 5 from the last 6. Move across to Catalan, they're just below centre of the table in 7th with 10 points, one of 4 teams that have each got 10 points. This is going to be covered on the BBC 1,400. Okay, Catalan currently 4 from the last 6. Going about their business in a relatively quiet manner, I think.
Yeah, won 4 of the last 6, but they did lose this weekend to Leigh in the Magic round, and they didn't quite have enough to overcome the Leopards. So you straight away you look at that, right? They got Hull KR this weekend. It's not going to get any easier than that. But yeah, you're right. They have been going about their way. They started the season pretty terribly, didn't they? And they've just gradually sort of built on this season, and a couple of players still out of the Catalan side. But I expect this to be a fairly close game.
Yeah, talking about players out, potential that the captain Ben Garcia will be out as well. That's definitely going to have an effect. He has been brilliant for them this year. And then you look at the other side, Hull KR have got some noticeable returnees potentially as well this weekend.
Yeah, Hargreaves is back, Joe Burgess is back. It's important that you've mentioned that Garcia's out, because I had that down as sort of one of the key battles in this game. Jez Litton versus Garcia, the two hookers going against each other. Jez Litton is having such a good season. He scored 2 tries as well, didn't he, this weekend against Salford? He's leading that team around the park now. I think he's really found his identity in that team, and sort of he's allowing Mikey Lewis to sort of play off the cuff, Hiku off the cuff, and he's really controlling the team, steering them into the parts of the field that they need to be. So yeah, I did have that down as one of the key battles. So if Garcia's not available, I don't know who comes in at 9 for Catalan. Could be it could be a key part of that game.
Well, Elrix de Costa will still be kicking about, and he's putting in a good shift despite, I think it's his 10th year with Catalan, they reported this weekend.
Yeah.
So he can definitely do a job. Whether he's going to be enough to trouble Hull KR, I don't really know. I mean, for me, this is... Oh, by the way, our results last week, I got 5 from 6, you got 4 from 6, so just throw that in there.
Yeah, you also said that you like Parma Violets as your most favourite sweet, and that got more comments than anything.
Yeah, we'll come on to sweets in a minute, but anyway, Hull KR, I think this is a Hull KR win. There is potential for this to be a blowout score. Bearing in mind the captain's off the pitch. So I'm going to put it down to Hull KR win by 24 points.
24 points. Looking at the packs for the two sides, Hull KR are a lot more mobile, aren't they? They're a lot more mobile in their pack. Catalan have started punching holes though. They really have. Pangai Jr.'s playing well. Bousquet on the other prop has been punching some holes. So I think if Catalan are to win this game, they've got to win the forward battle. In the backs, I see it as Hull KR all day long, and I think they'll run riot if they get chance. If the Hull KR mobile pack can give them some good field position, I think Hull KR will win. I'm agree with you though. I don't see it as a massive win, but I think it's a Hull KR win. I'm going to go 10 to 12 points.
Yeah, okay, and honourable mention for their young fullback at Catalan, Espirito Boucher, and
he's having a great season, isn't he? He's stepped in where Tompkins is injured, and in all honesty, like if you're going on form, do you think Tompkins is going to get back in that side? I know they'll want him for the experience, but yeah, this lad's having a great season.
I don't know. Tompkins is such a proven talent, isn't he? He's retired God knows how many times, you know what I mean? But he just keeps coming back, and he's still just as influential, I think is the word. Whether he's making spectacular 90-metre tries like he has in the past, or dancing around 7 or 8 players to score vital tries. I don't know whether he's doing that, but he's definitely the most influential player in the team once he's on the grass.
Yeah, just looking at the form guides, I know Catalan, we have said have been winning. They've been getting better, haven't they, as the season's gone on, although they lost to Leigh this weekend. I mean, they've beat Salford, Huddersfield, Salford again, Wakefield in the last 4, and they lost to Leigh. They haven't played the real sort of top 6 sides, have they really? When you look at Hull KR's record, they beat the Giants, they beat Hull FC in the quarter-final, they lost to Wigan by a good 10-12 points, they then beat Hull FC again, they beat Leeds, beat Salford. If you're just looking at form, I think you definitely all day long Hull KR win this week.
Right, okay, so that's the first game ticked off. By the way, if you like this content and any other stuff we do, please consider subscribing. It really does help the channel grow and lets us know that we're turning out good information that you're enjoying. And you could also consider becoming a member of the channel. Links in the description down below. Moving on to the Sunday, 11th of May, we've got a 15:45 kickoff on BBC Two this time. We've got Warrington Wolves taking on Leigh Leopards. Warrington currently 3 from 3. A bit of disarray there, sitting 9th in the table with 10 points.
3 from 6.
3 from 6. And Leigh currently sitting 3rd in the table with 15 points, just 3 behind Hull KR, and they are currently 5 from the last 6, including an 18-14 home win against Warrington on the 19th of April. So that could well play a part.
They've won 5 of the last 5 of Leigh, yeah. So they lost to Wakefield when we put the mockers on them and went to watch that game. They then turned it around into the week after and beat Wakefield away. That was a quarter final, wasn't it? The Challenge Cup. They then beaten Castleford easily. Close game against Wyre. Beaten Salford, and they've beaten Catalan this weekend. So Leigh are really riding high at the minute. And there's some players that are really influential. I'll get onto that in a minute. Warrington, yeah, like you said, they've only won 3 from 6. Stalling their season. They're just not quite getting the momentum going, are they? So they beat Leeds. They beat Saints in a big win. They then lost to Hull FC 16 points to 28. They lost to Leigh, as you said, 3 games ago. They beat Saints. And they lost to Wigan. A lot of injuries. That's what I think what you got to say with Warrington. They've had a lot of injuries. The team's been changed quite a lot. However, this week, they came back from the dead a little bit, didn't they? And there's some real grit and determination there. Ollie Leyland and Stefan Ratchford in the halves this weekend. They find a way to grind themselves back into that game. And really, they did have a chance to nick it, didn't they?
Oh, but yeah, they did have a chance. I mean, I know ultimately Wigan romped on, but it was individual spectacular, performances from the like of Jai Field that was the most influential on the pitch. Also, Danny Walker out now, predicted to be for sort of 8 to 10 weeks. Now he's massive in the centre of the park.
Yeah.
He's the first link. He's the first person usually to touch the ball in a series of players. Next is like the pivots. They're out. George Williams, Mark Sneed, they're out. So, you're left with Ollie Leyland and Stefan Ratchford, which obviously can do a job. But outside that, your centres, your forwards, your wingers performing really, really well. It's just, those playmakers, the brains behind the teams, the initial point of skill, the initial point of contact has been broken down, and I think it's having an effect.
I thought it was good to see Ollie Leyland have a decent game this weekend though, because he got dragged out of the side after the Vegas fixture, didn't he? And he's not really featured up until now. And I think there's a lot of nerves. You could see a lot of nerves in the first sort of 15-20 minutes with him, but he really cracked on in the second half. I think. Settled down at the side. I thought he played well. If you look on the other side then, if you look at Leigh and what they're bringing to the table, like I said, they've won the last 5 of 5 and just riding on some confidence. But I tell you where this all stems from, and I keep saying him every week, Lachlan Lamb. He's just having a stellar season. He was so influential this weekend again. I think if you take Lamb out of this side, I don't know how Leigh operate, but with him firing at the minute, it's great to see. Also, with McNamara, he's managed to get a chance in the Leigh side, and he scored this weekend and didn't miss a kick, and that essentially was the difference between Leigh winning and losing this weekend. I just think Leigh, the consistency Leigh have got at the minute might be a little bit too much for Warrington. I don't know how you're calling this one.
Well, I've got this down as a Leigh win. I tell you what was interesting as well, with the Warrington game, the Leigh game at the weekend, and of George Williams was in the studios. He was pitch side with the Sky guys, and he did a little bit of an appraisal of Lachlan Lamb, and he was saying that the fact that he can play either side, he can literally pop up anywhere. Yeah, I think the question was posed like, how do you deal with him? And he said, well, everybody's got to be prepared to take him on because he could literally attack any player on the pitch, and that it kind of blows your mind when you think about it, because it could just, you've got absolute talent. And it must just put you into an absolute frenzy when he's running out.
And he's got a kicking game to go with it, and he set up tries this week with the kick. So yeah, like you say, it pops up at any side of the field, and then he's putting a little cheeky chip into the in-goal area. If you're a centre winger, you're having to deal with that. he's so valuable to Leigh. Edwin Ipape, again, another player who we mention every week. He was solid at the weekend, wasn't he? He's just so direct. There's no messing around with him. He's literally route one, straight, run as hard as you can and absolutely just bash people. He'd be good on that, what's that bloody new Run It sport that's come out?
Run It Straight, yeah.
Yeah, he'd be good on that, he would.
Yeah, have you seen this Run It Straight? I mean, it's absolutely... I mean, the players are just getting absolutely folded in half and just knocked out. Like, how this is going to be like a credible sport, I've got no idea. Obviously, George Williams has got some kind of part to play in
Burgess.
Sorry. Yeah, George Burgess. And he was sort of saying that, we need to tidy up some of the rules and the technique. And I was like, the technique? Well, like, what technique? You know what I mean? You lead with the elbow.
I'll tell you what, the NRL or the RFL are not going to sanction that. No way. It's going to be like some illegal version of the sport, or underground version of rugby or something. I don't even know why they've got a rugby ball, to be honest with you. Completely pointless. Anyway, we're completely going off the ball here. Wire v Leigh.
Can I just throw something else at you? Just like your appraisal of Dufty at the minute. Because there's two sides to Dufty in it that we can all see.
Well, there's two sides to him, and it was fully on show, wasn't it? A magic weekend. I mean, he set up an absolute cracking try. He made some great breaks again at the weekend, and then that tackle on was it on Adam Kieran?
Well, what tackle? I saw was like a human turnstile. Just like, in you come, through you go. It was just shocking.
Everything about that passage of play, knocking the ball back onto the field, and then the defence. And inevitably, there was the difference between the two sides, really, wasn't it? So yeah, but he's had a great season. And you have him in your side all day long, 100%. I think he's a great attacking player. Can be a bit questionable in defence, though.
Yeah, and you could see times. I think the team know it. Like, if you see there's a half break that, like, the Tulis, Matty Ashton will scamper like hell to cover that. But obviously, sometimes it's in parts of the park where they're just not going to have an effect on that, especially if the referee stood in the way.
Yeah, he got proper belted, didn't he? I can't remember if it was Dufty that knocked him over or if it was Tulis. But yeah, that was a bit of a comical moment of the magic weekend, wasn't it?
Definitely a talking point, and I loved his response. He's like, well, I've got to be somewhere.
He
was retreating backwards and then he gets cleaned out by a player.
You were never getting to him, were he? He was like, I'm just going to use that as an excuse that I didn't get to him, yeah.
Right, let's call it then, Karl. So, what we're saying?
It's close, won this. Because of their injuries, I'm going to go, and form is with Leigh. I'm going to go with Leigh, just. But I won't be surprised if it went the other way.
Right, I hate agreeing with you, as you know, but I'm going to go Leigh as well. I think this is a Leigh win. Again, there's potential for it to be a little bit of a blowout because of those influential people. I'm hoping they bring the spirit. No. I love Stefan Ratchford. I always have, you know what I mean? And I'm hoping if he's playing, he has an absolute belter, far better than the dropout kick that he made in the dying seconds. I think that'll haunt him for a long time to come. But I just don't think they're going to be strong enough to take on Leigh and to trouble them in reality, especially over a full 80 minutes. So, so I'm going to go for Leigh. One more talking point, Karl, before we wrap up.
Yeah.
So there was. I think they started playing music during, in the breaks and the video referee.
Yeah.
They started playing music, or you could hear music. And it actually made for a little bit more of a less frustrating event, when they went up to the video referee this weekend.
Because the video referee decisions take we talked about this last week, didn't we? They take absolutely ages.
No, what I'm saying is there been a slight improvement? I mean, people watching this, did you feel a slight improvement? Was it as frustrating as it has been, or, was it a little bit more palatable because of that? And
I actually think the decisions were a little bit quicker this weekend.
They needed to.
I think they've taken on board the fans' frustration. I think there were definitely moments where you could see the ball had been grounded and it didn't go, let's just see it from another angle. I think they just got on with it a little bit. They still went through the process, which they've got to do, make sure they get it right. I do feel like it was a little bit quicker this week. So, yeah, all adds to it. I mean, imagine if they had been going on forever. 3 games back to back. He could finish at flipping midnight. So, yeah, it was good. I think it was a slight improvement. Music on in between, yeah, why not?
And I tell you, one aspect to this that I didn't really consider is the fact that, the player's not really able to fully celebrate that try until they've gone through that process. You know what I mean? It's like a weird one, isn't it?
And they were giving money away for the try celebrations, weren't they, this week for the MND Association? So, yeah, you're right. You're right there. You've hit the nail on the head.
But I think those celebrations, they're part of the game. You know what I mean? When players and the crowd's going nuts and you're all running down, you know, all the kids run down to...
Mikey Lewis runs up to FC fans.
Yeah.
And,
No, that's what I'm saying. It's part of the game. It's the opportunity for, you know, the scoring player to give the opposite supporters shit or to celebrate with his own fans, but it's been robbed because of this decision. Anyway, we don't want to labour the point. Final words, Karl. If you could pick a top 3 of your favourite sweets, you know, following on from our Parma Violets debate last week.
You've dropped that on me.
I'll give us your top. So you said cola bottles. What would be your close second?
Are we talking sweets, chocolates, or just sweets?
Well, whatever you want, mate, but whatever you want.
Top 3 sweets.
No, let me pose this different. We just had Easter. What's your favourite go-to Easter egg? You know, it's like going to a referee. Play some music.
My favourite chocolate is Toblerone. Toblerone.
Yeah.
Toblerone, number 1.
How many times you've been at the airport and got like a 3-foot long Toblerone?
Yeah.
You love that?
Yeah, 100%.
Can you polish that off in a wanna?
Maybe the old me. I mean, the new slim me. No.
Right. Okay. Right. There you go. My favourite Easter egg is Yorkie. Every day of the week, Yorkie Easter egg, or close followed by Cadbury's Buttons.
Do you remember the old school Yorkie adverts?
Yeah, not for girls.
Not for girls. Whoa, you couldn't get away with that anymore, could you?
Well, you used to get that in the ration packs, in the military ration packs. You'd have a Yorkie, like not for girls, in there. Yeah. So anyway, that's enough for that.
Times have changed, haven't they?
Yeah, it's just a bit. So now you get tampons and all sorts in there. Genuine.
Yeah. No, you fucking wind me up.
Right. Until next time, take care.